All right, everybody, welcome back to the best hour of their day. Fern here with my good buddy Matt Albrizio from Forever Fierce, and we are largely not going to talk about apparel
Yep,
in
no peril
in
this
the
time.
affiliate. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit and actually some cool things that they're doing. But Matt hit me up and wanted to talk about a topic that I think is actually on the forefront of my mind, and then also something that if you're not thinking about this and what your life as an affiliate owner is going to look like moving forward, I think this is very, very important. But first and foremost, thanks, brother, for your time. I know you guys are busy trying to salvage gyms by helping them out in any way you can. So for that, thank you. But also thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on again. It's always great to be back here. We always get a lot of emails from people saying thanks so much, or I use this strategy. So I'm glad everyone's listening. I'm glad everyone's engaged. But on this episode, we're going to be talking about virtual assistants. And personally, the first thing I always said was I want to preface this with if we start talking about virtual assistants overseas, we're not anti-American or anything
Correct.
like that. This podcast is good, though, because Jason and Jason are always open to different points of view and looking at different things. I mean, think about the past month and a half. You've had people come on and say, all these different things about their predictions about how this is going to play out. So I think this is a good place to just talk about a different idea and maybe give people a different idea to consider as you get out of this, this phase of being locked down or having to let some staff go and taking on extra responsibilities. So
And
I'm
and
excited to
that
jump into it.
Yeah, so that is why I thought this was super important. So Matt shot me an email. We traded back and forth, and he sent me an agenda, and like half of what he had put in there was like up on my whiteboard for like things I'm trying to figure out moving forward. In order, because here's where I think most people are probably going to live. You probably will be down on revenue, which means I'm going to need to figure out how to reduce my operating costs or maximize or optimize my operations, meaning how can I get the same amount of work done either for free or for less money. And again, however you feel about paying people, I mean, it is what it is. We're operating in a world now where like people have to do what they have to do. Now, I
Yeah.
will also say it's America. You have the freedom to choose whoever you want to do if you try to go with a VA. So if you're like, hey, America first, that's fine. But if you're like, cool, the folks in the Philippines are crushing it and that works for me, then by all means do that. Like it is totally within your decision making to choose how you go about that. So, and we preface that because this can be somewhat contentious with people. They're just like, I don't know, well, you'd outsource to some of these countries, and I'm like, well, A, because they're pretty good at it, and B,
Mm-hmm.
because they're more efficient. So,
Yep.
but anyway, so let me ask you this: when did you first hear about the idea of a VA?
Okay. So let's start from the beginning. What is a virtual assistant and
We'll
where
back
did
up
it
even
come
further.
from? Where did this
Correct.
idea
Yeah.
get popularized? So
Who
a
is your
virtual
daddy
assistant.
and what does he do?
So a virtual assistant is someone typically who they can be in America, they could be overseas, but someone who is not in your place of business. They do all their work and reporting online and you never see them. They're just 100% virtual, and that's that. I first heard about this idea from Tim Ferriss. So before Tim Ferriss
Me
became
too.
this, yeah, before he became a health guru, and I don't really know what his aim is right now, just a general life guru. He was a business guy, and he wrote a manifesto about how he started up all these online businesses with the help of virtual assistants. And in reality, that's how he went from working 60 hours a week with starting Athletic Greens and all the other companies he started to working only 4 hours a week because he had these systems and he had a bunch of virtual assistants who were doing all of his fulfillment and customer service stuff. So that's how I found out about it. Forever Fierce started using virtual assistants because we were just growing and I was running out of time to make production forms with everything we're doing. Because there's two parts of our business, right? There's the forward facing part that you're used to when you need t-shirts, you're just interacting with me. On the back side of everything, I mean, that's only the tip of the iceberg. Everything below the surface is everything that goes into actually producing the shirt, making a
Mm-hmm.
production form, ordering garments, closing out the website and doing all the reports and making profit statements. So there's a lot of like paperwork, like annoying stuff behind the scenes. And we were trying, again, we're a lean startup for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't have a ton of debt and we're not heavily backed and financed by all these people. We don't have a ton of money to burn through. So we've always scaled this thing from our bootstraps and just adding expenses incrementally. So basically, I reached out. I went on Upwork.com and I
Mm-hmm.
posted a message. Hey, I'm looking for someone to, now this is illegal to do, but I want you to find all the CrossFit gyms in the state of Virginia, send me their email, their contact email, their Facebook website, their Facebook URL, their regular website, and just create a spreadsheet of that. Now you can't do that and scrape that information, but we were doing that just to build our business and reach out to people. So he started off doing that type of lead generation stuff. And ultimately, you know, we've had our virtual assistant working with us now for 5 to 6 years. And he has a full life. You know, he's got a wife and 3 kids. And, you know, my mom calls him the 4th brother. He's someone who's super close to us. His baby is named after me. So, I mean, there are things
Really?
like that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he named his baby Matt in the Philippines. So
That's
he's
amazing.
out there,
So I think that's an important note, is because I think there's this misconception that because this person is virtual, that there's no relationship.
right.
And from my experience, I would tell you that, like any working relationship, it's not going to work out if you don't develop a relationship with this person. Now, I don't know that most of you are going to have your VA name their kid after you.
No.
However, this is not necessarily like a fire and forget, where like I put up a job in Upwork or you know, any of these VA companies' websites and then never speak to this person again. Like you're going to be talking to them on a very frequent basis.
It could be daily, could be weekly, however frequently they send you these reports and they need stuff done. But and that's the thing, is that there's not one way to do this and set this up. It's just like managing your staff. Some people like to check in with their staff every single day. What are you doing? What can I help with? And some people are like, I'll see you next week. You know, I'll see you in a month. Like, it's up to you. But I think the number one thing is, people like to ask, well, where do I go to find these people? I can't, you know, if I Google this, where do I go? There's so many different sites out there. Personally, I use upwork.com or I use onlinejobs.ph. And you can go on both websites and see how to get started. But it's very cost efficient. Like there's not a ton of cost to get started. It's very intuitive to post your job. And another question I get a lot is, how much should I expect to pay? Because I might be paying someone, you know, 18 to 20 something bucks an hour, or 12 to 18 bucks an hour. How much should I pay this person? I would say if you're working with someone overseas, and it could be someone in Eastern Europe, the Philippines, or whatever, but if you're working with someone in the Philippines, I would say $2 to $5 an hour is basically a good price for, you know, basic reports. And, you know, for us, we have, like I said, we have a lot of website reports to run, and I'm sure you could chime in with some stuff that they could do for gym owners and reporting.
I've got a
and things
list
like
here.
that. Yeah. And but I would say $2 to $5 an hour. And you might be saying $2 to $5 an hour, that's ridiculous. But you have to keep in mind, these people are from a different area of the world. They have a different standard of living, and that is much, much, much higher than they can make working for their government, working locally, trying to, you know, be at a farmer's market. It's not a robust economy like it is here.
If you have been to the Philippines, $2 to $5 goes a long way. Right. Now, so however you feel about this, there's another aspect to this which we have to acknowledge, which is most VAs at this point, simply because it's a necessity if you want to actually make it as a VA that makes money, are incredibly efficient with their time, meaning like they are 1,000% more efficient than most of your coaching staff doing some of these tasks. So like just general ideas, right? If you're going to have somebody pull reports and stuff like that for your coaches, like let's just say it takes 30 minutes. Most VAs will do it in 5 to 10. Which means, yes, they're making $2 to $4 an hour, but they're working 12, 10, sometimes 20 projects simultaneously. So like they're getting fairly compensated for their time, right? They're just really, really fast. These are people that sit behind a computer all day and jam on spreadsheets and do things that would make most of our heads spin. So they're incredibly efficient. Now, so let's move past the fact that they're in a different country. It is what it is. You have the freedom to offer a price per the job, and they have the freedom not to take it, right? So you're not forcing anybody into weird like slave labor here. Now, here's the idea here's what I think is important. Like, why would I use a VA when I can just do this myself? I like to think of it as push versus pull. And let me clarify on that. Personally, for me, the thing that allows me to work faster and make decisions more quickly is if information is pushed to me versus me having to go pull that information out of somewhere and run the report myself. I just need the information so that I can move forward and take action on that information. So this is where you can take something that would take you, any gym owner, a lot of time. And this is me actively pulling information out, sifting through spreadsheets, doing a bunch of shit that you don't really want to do. I could have somebody for a very reasonable price push me that information in a very clean manner that makes sense, that I can read it and say, oh, okay, I probably would have never been able to find that shit anyway. So now you've pushed it to me, and I can have you push it to me on a daily, weekly, monthly, whatever that time period is going to be. And now you can start being more proactive within your business. And for those of you that don't know your numbers in your business, this is a way to start, right? So we'll just go with something very basic. How many of your members have an active profile in Wodify, Zen Planner, whatever system you use, that have no membership active and no payment information on file? If you don't know that number, let's start there. You can pull up reports in both of those, and you can have this person send it to you every 2 weeks. You probably don't need to do it any more frequently than that. That's going to take them 6 minutes, maybe less.
It's true.
Okay.
It's true. They have a different speed in which they work.
It's a different speed at which they work.
Insane.
And they're not going to forget. They're not going to get distracted from some other shit going on in the gym because so-and-so is upset because there's no chalk left, or the toilet's broken, or so-and-so missed their child care issues, or the 5 p.m. class is over. You're going to get that report the day that you asked for it, the time that you asked for it, and it's going to be correct. So this is where you can maximize and leverage the efficiency of other people to help you move forward. So think of it as push versus pull. I think that's a really important concept to utilize here, and like, it'll help you move faster. But I don't want to cut you off, but I did want to.
But that's important, because that's what the next part we were going to talk about was work ethic and time zone considerations. You know, obviously Jason and I are on the East Coast, and we're on East Coast time. The Philippines, they are 12 hours ahead of us. So while they're sleeping, I'm working. I'm compiling their task list for the day, so that at 6 o'clock I have a clean handoff, and my assistant, he takes over my email from 6 to 5 a.m. So so again, when I wake up, he has all my stuff done, saying, hey, can you check this out? I have a question here. I have a question there. Here's this report. So that when I get on my email around 5:45 in the morning, it's all, like you said, it's ready to go. I don't have to follow up and ask, when's this getting done? And we're not on the same time frame. So everything's just moving forward. And that's, if you've worked with us, you know that the most important thing for me is that you feel like, as a client for us, we want you to feel like everything's moving forward. I sent an edit. Here's the edit. Okay, I got the design set. Here's the Webstore link. I'm promoting the link. I close the sale. It's done. We're always moving forward. We're not moving back. So that's important for me. And I like the push-pull analogy for sure. But the work ethic stuff is, again, I'm not sure if you know anyone who is Filipino, whose parents have come here from the Philippines, they've immigrated here, you're first or second generation kid, there's a different work ethic. And again, I've worked with dozens of Filipinos in my day, and it's just different. And I don't know how to explain it. I don't know the politically correct way to say it, but they are just workaholics. And I've never had to follow up about, why isn't this done? You know, where is this? It's always bang. It's always there in your inbox. You never have to worry about it.
I'll give everybody a little insight. In the Navy specifically, I can't speak to any other branch, there's something called the Filipino Mafia, right? So there's different kind of jobs in the Navy. I happen to be a supply officer, so my job was largely logistics, budgeting, and planning. That world is largely run by folks that have come from the Philippines. Right. Wow. And that's why the Navy is better at logistics than anybody else for the most part in the armed services. I don't know why they gravitate to that particular skill set within the Navy, but that's how it works. Like if you're in food service or supply chain logistics or whatever, like it's heavy of people from the Philippines. Like, I mean, and that's kind of the running joke. It's a Filipino mafia. Like, if you want stuff done, you gotta go talk to those folks. And I had a ton of them that I worked for, and that I worked with, and that worked for me, that were just, I mean, amazing. Mm-hmm. They were just always on it. It's just like you said, like, they were always getting stuff done. You never had to ask them a second time for it. It was just like, this is how we get it done. And they were always just like, hey, you need to catch up. Like, you're behind. Hurry up. And I was like, all right, man. Damn. Okay.
It's crazy.
But yeah, it's super funny that you said that.
But now a lot of people like to ask, well, how do we do things in a very simplified manner here? There's 4 of us who are full-time. We have a production staff as well. And then we have our virtual assistants, and we have 4 of them. I've had up to 6 at a time, but I have 2 guys who handle minor edit requests, like change to a tank top, change the color of this, change the font. That's the type of stuff that we can outsource to them, and they can get done very quickly and send it back and do a ton of them at a time. They might be doing 75 to 100 edits a day on some of this stuff, where trying to have one person do that for the day, it would burn them right out. So our head designer starts all of your designs, then we pass it down to the edit guys and they handle that. And then I have 2 assistants who work under me who help me with, following up with clients. Like, for example, the one thing Jason said on the last podcast was following up with leads and being a little more active with following up with these people. If there are some canned responses, I like to call them, some template emails where, a new member reaches out and they say they're interested in the gym and you haven't heard from them. That's something where if they just log into your email and they say, okay, Johnny reached out, interest in the gym. Hey, Johnny, haven't heard from you in a few days. Just want to check in. Do you have time to come in Thursday at 9 a.m. To go over your goals? That's something that they can send, like all that type of template stuff. If you have some emails that are just generic, you can have them send that stuff out. That's perfect. Very rarely will our VAs interact with clients. Sometimes you might not know you're interacting with one, to be honest. If you see me send out a design at 3:15 in the morning, I am sleeping, but my virtual assistant's on my email sending out those designs, and then I take over
However,
it.
but that's important, right? Because it's who cares who it is, right? The point is that my problem is being addressed. So think about that. I mean, like, you can tell your members or don't. Either way, here's what I would tell you. They're going to be impressed. They're going to be like, holy shit, dude, this guy answers emails at 3:15. Or they're going to be like, dude, you're awake at 3:15. I'm like, no, I have a virtual assistant who does that. And at which point they're going to be like, that's cool. So it's a win-win either way. They're just like, all right, well, I know I am fully confident that you are on it and it's happening. And just think about like all the times that there's emails and stuff that are getting pushed to your inbox that, I would agree. And this is another thing from Tim Ferriss's book, which is, hey, all of a sudden there are no more emergencies when you stop responding to emergencies. Like, there's no emergency emails. It's not a thing. Like, nobody emails you with an emergency. They fucking call you. So, however, there are that perception of promptness and timeliness matters, right? So, for instance, if somebody submits a hold or cancellation and it sits for 3 days with no response, that looks bad. It doesn't matter what you had going on. It doesn't matter that COVID is out there or that your gym's closed and that you are maybe filing bankruptcy. They don't care, right? What needs to happen is that person needs to get that email, know that falls in their task list, and they have like you said, a canned response. Hey, Matt, thanks. We got your cancellation request. We're processing it. Once it's done, we'll follow up to confirm. And they're like, thanks, that's great. It doesn't matter who that is. Like, that's not something that necessarily needs to be like customer facing with one of your team on it. What it needs to be is get done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you said, and some like the next thing is a lot of people like to ask, well, what do I give them to do? Like, do they speak English? Do they write English? Do I have to learn the language? You don't have to learn the language. In my experience, most of them are not great with verbal English. Like, if you're like, let's jump on a Zoom call, like, that's not what they do. It's best over email. Written communication's best. As I said, any reports, anything that's done in a spreadsheet that's a pain in the ass to compile, they do that type of stuff great. Follow-ups, basic email, stuff like that you could just copy and paste responses to. And also, I mean, what's important for me right now is that they sort my emails in the morning. So if you are someone who gets a ton of emails and stuff like that, and you hate waking up to 100 emails in your inbox, they go through my inbox in the morning. They sort everything into different folders so that if I don't really want to look at, the problem folder in the morning to start off, I don't have to look at that. I could look at that when my brain's a little more up and I'm a little more ready to tackle that stuff. And that's okay. So they do a lot of sorting and organizing and things like that. And again, if you are not good with social media, there's people out there who are experts at social media that you can show them, here's the type of content I want, here are the pictures you can post, here's the text I want, make sure the post is done ABC date. That's a great way to make sure your social media is up to snuff,
So I'm thinking about this because I know people have questions. They're like,
Hmm.
outside of before we get to like what they could do in a gym that would make a gym owner
Yep.
happy, right? So I could see people asking a question. Well, I don't want anybody in my email. Okay,
Yeah.
listen, if you got like real crazy top secret stuff or things that are inappropriate in your email, stop doing that.
Yep.
But then, so like talking about sorting your emails, we're like, well, how do I know if the email is read or not? Typically, what they will do, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't used
Hmm.
one in a while,
Yep.
they will send you basically a breakdown of what is in your email. And you
Yep.
can either go in there and do it yourself, or you can respond to them with what you would like done. Is that still pretty accurate?
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, for me personally, it's just sorting them into different folders in Gmail. So if someone has if someone has a design request, like change to a purple shirt, no problem. Drop that in the design request folder. And I just know to check those folders in the morning. And yeah, they might be marked as red, but that's fine. No big deal. I just know if it's in that folder, it has to be red. So
Got it.
that's fine. And honestly, I've never had an issue with someone letting email slip through the cracks,
Yeah.
So the accuracy is killer too. I mean, it's insane how
If
accurate
you
these
are
guys
worried about that, you can just have them
are.
schedule all your emails to go out at a
Yep.
time that you can go through and check them beforehand. Be like, hey,
Yeah.
listen, you can type these emails at 1 a.m. my time, but I want you to schedule them all
Yep.
to go out at 9:30, at which point
Yep.
now part of my task is to go and verify all those emails. I do it at 9 and they still schedule to go out and they go out at 9:30. It's done. So if
Perfect.
you can utilize this and still kind of exercise the idea of trust but verify.
Hmm.
If you're one of these people that kind of needs to micromanage, trust but verify. But if you're one of these people who just want somebody who's fire and forget and just be like, listen, I'm gonna give you the task and you send it. Like, I'm not gonna check it,
Hmm.
just send it and we'll deal with whatever comes back. You can do it that way as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can manage this. I would also tell people, um, it's like anything else. You are going to have to train them to do things,
Yes. Yes.
right? So it's like that you should not have the expectation that I can just say, I want you to run these reports and that it will get done. Now, I will tell you what is probably the fastest way to do it to limit the amount of emails that you have to go back and forth on is go with the clockwork analysis for Michael Michalowicz. Video record what the tasks and things that you want done and send them that, right? That way you can talk to all of the weird kind of intricacies of Wodify and they don't know where the hold thing is and how to do that. And you can just point to it, be like, it's in this little box that's not super intuitive. Drop down, go there, and then process it that way. So speed up that process. Now you only have to do it once. And you can create a folder that says, hey, all of the process procedures that you have to do are here. Reference them if you have any questions. If it falls outside of that, then go ahead and hit me up.
Yeah, absolutely. The screencasting and stuff like that, it's come a long way in terms of the technology and how easy it is to record your screen. So, I mean, you just make, like you said, you make a quick screencast and you walk through it. And you know what? You're going to find holes in your process trying to explain it. And
Mm-hmm.
you might re-record it again to make it even simpler. But that's the beauty of it, is getting the process down nice and simple, squeezing out the inefficiencies and letting them show you too where the efficiencies might be or where the excess questions are coming from.
Now, if you're like, hey, I don't know how to screencast, whatever, like I don't know how to use QuickTime, cool. Don't use QuickTime anyway.
Yep.
I found the best one at this point because there's no downloading, there's no
Hmm.
uploading, there's no nothing. If you haven't heard of Loom, Loom, it's basically a web-based screen capture that automatically gives you a link that you can rename, right? And you can do a couple
Hmm.
cool things on there. I can do just a screen capture. I can do just a video of me, or I can do a screen cap with a video of me embedded that I can move around on there so that now there's a face to my name and I can talk to that. So it's really cool. You can make an account. It's free. And it's really, really useful, right? So you just go on there, you can download the app to your computer, hit record, it records, you walk through that 3 to 5 minute process, it gives you a link, you share the link, done. You don't have to mess with it
Yeah.
anymore.
And the beauty
So,
of it is that it's a building library. And if this person moves on, if you move on from this person
yeah.
for whatever reason, you want to start hiring USA talent again, no problem. Guess what? The new person, check out this video playlist. It has everything
Hmm.
you need. You don't have to spin your wheels reteaching someone how to do it again and again. I think that's probably the most frustrating part with working with anyone the first time, is onboarding them, teaching all the new stuff. But people learn by video these days. That's just how people learn, and demonstrating that stuff in a real-time environment. So that's a good way to document all your processes as well.
So outside of design stuff, what else? Because I've got a list here of things that we can run through. If you're like, hey, I'm not really sure like what I should have this person do, I've got like a pretty basic list here that will help clean up and
Yeah.
frame up gym owners. But like, what other stuff are you having them do?
Yeah, so there's a lot of paperwork that comes off these website stores that we've been holding for people. So in terms of who ordered, where is it going, what's exactly in their order. So they have to make the pack slips, the postage. We send out emails to everyone saying, hey, here's when your order is shipping. I have to send a profit statement to the owner saying, here's how much you made, here's how much it costs, blah, blah, blah. And then they have to make the production form that goes to our production guys. And that takes a lot of time. And then there's the garment vendors ordering all the garments. So they're handling all the back end stuff for us. And I mean, like I said, without them, this is like you could work all day if you wanted to, but at least
Yeah.
now things are a little more manageable with them working. So they do handle a lot of back end stuff that is not client facing for us.
So from a gym owner standpoint, let's talk about a couple
Yeah.
things that would be back end stuff that you, if you're not doing, you need to start doing. So I've gone through multiple iterations of this where I've done it, have somebody else do it. And I will tell you pretty much 100%, eventually it falls off. Eventually there's a distraction and we miss a day, a week, or a month. So these are a couple of things. The first one is like, what are your monthly reports, right?
Yeah.
How many new members did you have? How many people did you lose? Like those are two numbers you want to figure out your churn rate. Like you should look at that every single month. Again, not going to take you very long, but you're going to forget. Okay. Some of the other ones. So this is like back end stuff, and then we'll move to some of the retention stuff. So if you're looking at like, hey, if you have Wodify, or I think most of these member payments, like it sends you a daily report that says successful transactions and unsuccessful transactions, right? They can get that report, and I can say, whoever it is, Harry or whoever, when this report comes through, the people that have unsuccessful transactions, I need you to follow up with them. Here's the standard kind of canned response email that you're going to send. And if you guys want, you can have all sorts of protocols in there. Be like, every email that you send, I want you to BCC me on it so that I know that went out, right? This is how you create oversight without having to actually do the work. Same thing. So you have failed payments. How do I do that? Memberships. Most people, if you think about the number of coaches and gym owners that have an inaccurate member list, meaning like I've got 500 profiles in my gym, but only 135 of them have memberships. Well, that means that the other 365 of them need to come out of the system because A, you're paying for those, but B, it clutters up your numbers and screws up what's actually going on in your business. So if you're running reports like members without payment information or members without memberships, now I can start to clean that up on a monthly basis. And I know that my numbers that are showing up in my trends or my dashboards are pretty damn accurate within something that's less than 10, which is, for me, that's acceptable. It's less than 10. I know there's some wiggle room in there for weird stuff. And then processing cancellations or holds. If those are coming through, every gym owner hates dealing with that shit. Like, it is the worst. Like, that's why I've always recommended you have an account that's like accounts@crossfitrife.com, and you don't ever tell anybody who's behind that account, right? It's just a nameless, faceless person who can handle this, because stuff like that needs to be handled very objectively, very professionally, right? So they can handle those, and you can give them all of the responses. We pretty much know how all of that interaction is going to go. Hey, here's a reminder of how the policy works. We're going to process it. Your next payment will be processed or won't be processed or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Done. Right? So those are all the things that cause gym owners a ton of pain that absolutely need to get done. So give them that.
Yep.
Right. I'm trying to think. So the other stuff that you can have them do that I think is cool, which is retention based, is think about all the things. If you haven't watched the Dropping In series on YouTube, go and do that. Most of the gyms in Raleigh do a fantastic job of highlighting their members, and they basically made me feel like a big turd. It's good, because I'm a big turd when it comes to that. Which is, they do a great job of looking at member visit count and basically highlighting their members for like the number of attendances they've had.
Wow.
So if we think about like things like, and you guys do a good job of this too, Matt, which is like really kind of highlighting and getting touch points that are meaningful touch points, not these bullshit touch points that are just like, hey, checking in. Like, you need to do those, but there's no meaning behind that, right? But there are two specifically that do have meaning. One is it's your birthday, and the other one, it's your gym anniversary, right? So those two things, I think you should hit them with a text, an email. I think you should highlight them on Instagram. I think you should highlight them on Facebook. And I think you should write them a damn card and say happy birthday or happy anniversary, right? All of that stuff doesn't take very long, but somebody else can do that. And what matters is that that makes the member feel good.
Yep. And it's the classic, the task that if you're a Two Brain follower, the joy girl position, or whatever Chris calls that 100%. Now, that position is the perfect opportunity. If you're like, man, I wish I could have installed this years ago, months ago. I just don't have the money to fund someone full-time, part-time at a full salary. This is the perfect opportunity for that, right? Like you said, promoting, saying thank you, things like that. It goes a long way, and you can automate. You can give them a quick spreadsheet. Here's everyone's birthday. I could give you a picture of them if you want, but yeah, other than that, here's what you need to post on this date.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like that stuff's really, I mean, I speak to Wodify. I can just show them, hey, here's the dashboard that you don't have to run a report. It just shows you everybody's birthday for the month. Pull that off of there, and I want you to schedule these out for the month. That's what I want you to do, right? And here's what I would like you to put in the email, right? And typically what you're going to do is typically that person will respond. And then from there, it can become more personal. But what's important is that hit them, or they send you a spreadsheet that says, hey, you need to send these 5 birthday cards today. You're like, okay, cool. I've got my cards printed out for Vistaprint. I use stamps.com. It takes me 15 minutes to do that, to send 5 cards. I'm done. But that's because somebody pushed me that and was like, hey, reminder, after you get done with the Chinese fire drill over there that you're dealing with, like, send these cards out. And I'm like, okay, cool, done. I got it. That stuff is super important. And this is crazy important right now because retention has never been higher on the priority list. It has never been higher on the priority list. Like, you need to keep who you have before you start trying to go acquire new clients. So what are we not doing that we're currently doing? And I was on a call yesterday with Marcus Gersey, who I think you know. You know Marcus?
I'm familiar with him.
Yeah, so he does Gym Breakthrough. I think you guys should look into it. But and we're talking about, like, that's my first order of business when we reopen, like, is hiring somebody to do that. Because I was talking about using a VA, and he had a pretty interesting suggestion, was like, bring on somebody, who's going to work, I don't know, 20 hours a week, nothing crazy. It's not a full work week worth of work that you got done here. Yeah. And then have this person do that for a couple of months. And then what you can do is you can reevaluate. And what you can do is you can, like, with a VA, help to ascend this person to more important roles that are client facing, right? So, like, let's say you bring this person on and you have them do all the tasks that we just talked about. Well, after 3 months, you're like, hey, what's like the low hanging fruit that, like, you don't really think you should be doing at this point? It's just, and be like, okay, well, these 7 tasks. I'm like, cool. Now those go to a VA. Now, how can we redistribute your time, those 20 hours, for things that have much higher impact and much greater return? Right. So now they can maybe move into sales and something like that. But all the while I'm implementing that. And you might have to eat a little bit of the cost in the front end, but I'd be willing to make a huge bet that this would pay for itself inside of 60 days.
Yeah. Again, it's a small trade-off for your time. You're buying some extra time for yourself. And I think, speaking for myself and judging from my clients I've been talking to, everyone's been working their asses off for the past 60 days or so now, way longer and way more than we're used to, at least, where you might be working 40, 50 hours. I mean, I've been logging some days here that are just insane. So you're trading some time, trying to get some time back, because I think if there's one thing I've learned over the past 60 days is that rest is very important. And patience is, it's a gas tank type deal, and you want to be able to save your patience and a lot of that stuff for your family. You know what I'm saying? So trade some time back, buy a little bit of time, and, $3 to $5 an hour. I mean, we should, like I said, you should be okay with that trade-off. It's not 18 or 20 something bucks an hour.
Let's go on the high end, and let's just do the math for some people. Let's just say that you were going to have $10 an hour for 20 hours a week, right? So I'm going to have, $200.
Their 20 hours a week. Let's talk about their 20 hours a week versus what we think 20 hours a week is. 20 hours a week.
I'm going on the high end. I'm going real high end right here. Like, on the high end, it would be $800 a month. On the very, very high end, you're probably talking about something between $250 to $400 a month. Yeah. Now, you're like, that's a lot of money. I'm not telling you what it is and what is not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. Think about all of the things that would now get done for that 250 to 500 bucks. Think about this. What am I getting for that? Well, everybody gets a birthday card in the mail. They get an email, they get a text. I get all the reports pushed to me so that I can look at that. I get people to follow up on people that are missing payment information. So just that alone, something that causes me a pain point and that is uncomfortable as a gym owner to follow up with my members/friends that they need to pay me, removed it. For some people, that task alone might be worth 500 bucks. I don't know, but you're going to see that like, hey, I'm getting a lot here. And then I have to look at what is my personal time with. How much time would that take me? Would it even get done? And then now what can I do? If you're a coach that wants to get back to the floor like I do and coach, well, now I'm looking at it, I'm like, hey, I'm going to take a $500 pay cut for the next 3 months to do this. And I'm probably not going to take that pay cut for 3 months. I'm probably going to take it for 1 month. And then I'm going to recoup it because retention is up. So I didn't lose that money. And my sales process is better because the process is in line and my VA is pushing me these and scheduling these appointments for me. So again, it's a win-win if you stay on top of it and use it correctly.
And I think the hours thing too, when I say their 20 hours is different than ours, it's 20 hours on task. It's not 5 minutes on task, 20 minutes on Facebook, 15 minutes someone walked in the door, we're chit-chatting. There's not a lot of dilly-dallying with these people. They're very serious, and like you can track their time. They're used to doing time trackers and all this stuff, so you can see what they're doing. And when I review these tracking sheets, there is no screwing around. It's simply, I'm working, I'm hammering this stuff. So a lot of people are like, oh my God, well, what if it goes to 30, 40 hours? If you have a VA working for you 30 to 40 hours, I mean, that's that you have a major operation going and they're going to be able to get a lot of stuff done, like an insane amount of stuff done. I mean,
you're not at the gym.
Yeah,
they're doing everything.
Yeah. If I've done like an analysis. If I had to hire someone to replace my VA, I'd probably have to hire 2 people, pay them benefits, a salary, 401k matching stuff. It's really competitive. We wouldn't be able to do it. So, for us, it just makes sense that they do it, but they stay on task. So when people are like 20 hours, you might only have them 5 to 10 hours a week, and they might get so much that it'll blow your mind,
Yeah. And it's one of these things where like, I do think we would all like to have somebody in-house that does it.
Yeah,
again,
absolutely. I would love to.
Again, let's not bitch about like the way the world is. It is what it is. You probably can't afford it. So the answer should not be, well, I'm just not going to do it. Like you need to be resourceful right now. And this is a means of being resourceful. This is a means of making a good situation out of a bad situation, which is like, I need to be far more efficient with my time. And I can't get anybody to work at this efficiency rate for that dollar amount. Well, then you might as well outsource it, right? And a lot of people have beef with that, and it doesn't have to be forever. That's the other thing, right? Like you have the freedom to switch this over to a full-time employee when you think you've gotten to that workload.
Yep. And like I said, the thing that sparked it to me was when you said, I'm going to have to work in and on the business at the same time. And I'm okay making that trade-off. And I was like, wait a second, there's a couple different options we have here before we just all accept the fact that we're all going to have to, work 70 hours a week for the next, however long we think this is going to go on for. But there's a couple mistakes that people make when hiring a VA. So I want to go over that. So so we can avoid that real fast. And I'll go through this fast because I know I cannot believe how long we went on about this.
This is good shit, though.
Important topic. Paying too much is number one. I've seen some people go on other podcasts who have like a VA firm, and they say, it's $15 an hour, $25 an hour, and we'll find you a VA and we'll manage them for you. You don't need to do that. These people are very easygoing, and you do not need someone to manage them. There is no language barrier if they're applying for your job post. And like I said, you should be paying about $3 to $5 an hour. That's where you should be. For highly specialized stuff like accounting, web development, design stuff for us, those guys get paid way more. But again, I
paid a flat rate of $500 to have somebody build a website.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do that. And
in Upwork, I did it like a month and a half ago.
Yeah. And, the other thing too, mistake number two, I would say unwillingness to delegate. Everyone thinks that, and trust me, I was the worst with this, but everyone thinks no one can do this report like me. I'm the only one who has access to it. No one can do it like I can. They can. You just have to take a step back and take a deep breath and say, time to simplify this and pass this off to someone else.
It is highly unlikely that they will not do it better than you.
Yeah, you'll see version 2 will be better. You say there's no chance, and I'll give you a great example. When I used to make our production forms, our error rate on jobs was like 3 to 5% for the month. When I passed this off to our VA, he got our error rate down to under 1%, which is unheard of in the apparel industry. The apparel industry,
Easy.
if you read the fine print of working with your t-shirt provider, they'll tell you the error rate is about 10% on some of this stuff, meaning if they misprint 10% of the shirts, that's just part of the deal, partner. Like that's what they tell you. But with us, we always say that's not acceptable, especially when you're pre-ordering stuff and every shirt has a name and a home. We have to get that error rate down. And again, I swore that no one could do production forms like me. And the business just grew too much. I can't keep up with 20 production forms a day, and do the customer service and everything. The next mistake too is that the directions are confusing or unclear. So you've recorded these videos and you find that you're rambling too much or they're asking too many questions afterwards. Really, once the videos are done, give it a once over, have a family member look at it and say, hey, if I gave you this video, do you think you could figure out this task? Because the screencasts aren't going to go very long. It might only take you 1 to 5 minutes to record a screencast, but again,
5 minutes is a long time for a screencast. Yeah. If you're doing 5 minutes, my suggestion is that you're doing, that's multiple tasks.
Yeah. Break it down into smaller chunks.
You need to break it down smaller chunks. Yeah.
And then finally, the last mistake that most people make is giving up too early. They send you the report back, it's wrong, and you say, this isn't working. I'm scared this isn't working anymore. We're done here. So it's just like anyone else. You got to give them a second, and I'm sure you guys see this all the time in terms of trying to teach people new movements and exercises and things like that. Like no one's going to nail it perfect on the first time, like there's going to be a natural learning thing here. So give them a few rounds. Like you're going to know if someone's really not understanding it, but you will find someone who really gets it and it will click, and it might take a couple rounds.
I got some really good advice from one of my members who's super successful in business. He owns 2 Chick-fil-A restaurants, which puts him in like the 1% of the 1%. And and you're talking about a guy who hires and fires something to the tune of 400 to 500 people a year. Crazy. So, I mean, he's like, and he's super A-type. But what he told me was like, listen, you have to give people about 5 tries.
Yep.
Right. And most people are like, that's way too many. He's like, no, it's about 5. He's like, by the 5th one, they will typically do it better than you. But you got to give them 5 tries. Give them 5 tries. If they haven't figured it out by the 5th try, now we need to reassess, be like, maybe this task isn't for that person. Am I not communicating this correctly? Like, is it me? Or is this maybe over the head of the person who I've delegated this to?
Yep.
So I think that's super important. And that's what I said earlier. Like, you're going to have to train them. This is not just like, but again, you're front loading this work. So you have to think about the time you're going to save on the back end.
Yeah.
And if you're worried about that, don't give them anything super important. Like give them things that are not time sensitive or that are going to cost you money, stuff like that.
The retention piece, it's the number one thing we all pass off and make excuses not to do. It's a pain in the ass to do, but it's going to be so important. It's going to be so important.
You can think of it this way. If they had like a 50% rate of getting it right in retention, meaning they sent 50% of them to the wrong people, A, it's still 50% right. And B, you still hit the other 50% with some communication like, hey, it's not my birthday. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but listen, it's good to talk to you, So people, give them something like that.
And, especially if you're owning a gym that has a higher membership rate. So if you're charging $125 to $225 a month, people expect more of that stuff, and they want to be told, we miss you. We're thinking of you. Great to hear from you. I do that a lot with the apparel stuff where if I haven't heard from you in 3 to 6 months, I'll always send you an email saying, hey, haven't heard from you in 3 to 6 months. Just want to check in with you. Thinking of you. Here's what we've been up to. If you want to get started on something, let's go. That's a huge thing for people to hear. Oh, wow, this guy's thinking about me. They have me on their radar. most people don't get that in their lives that, hey, I'm thinking about you from other businesses.
Or if you look at I think there's a dashboard in Wodify. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember if it's a dashboard or report, but I know it's in there. It's like so-and-so hasn't shown up in X number of days. Right.
Get them on those people.
That's now on the task sheet right there, and they can follow up with that person. And like for me, what I would do is, so we use ZipWhip, which is a texting app, right? So you can check it out. Anybody who's not looked into it, look into it. I think it's $35. You turn any landline into a textable number.
Oh wow! And
yeah, anything. It's great, dude. And there's an app on the phone, so I get a text to my phone if somebody texts the business number, and so they can send an email, and you can give them that login, and they can shoot a text out. And now everything that's going out has come from my email, so I can track it. And if they shoot a text and start a conversation, it's showing up live in my phone. I can watch them do this, right? And I'm like, oh, I do need to. So like, it's going to ping me and say, okay, I need to follow up on that. There's one other thing, and then I'll let you close this out if you want, Matt, that I think or one of the reason I think people should consider this. And that is, not everybody's cut out for leadership. Not everybody's cut out for entrepreneurship. And if you struggle with holding people accountable, meaning like I'm non-confrontational, I have a problem giving feedback, I have a problem keeping people's feet to the fire on things like that, this is a real quick way to solve that problem, because there's that inherent kind of really objective nature of this. They're not somebody who was a friend and is now a coach and works for me, and now I have to tell them that they suck at their job and that they're not timely, which we've all dealt with that. Now this is somebody that I've literally hired that I don't really know that well, and it's not weird for me to be like, hey, I really need you to correct that. So if that's you and you struggle with giving people these tasks and you struggle holding them accountable, this is your solution. You should do this, because now you can be a better business owner, and you can, I guess, essentially practice on somebody who that is not a friend of yours about telling me like, hey, that's not sufficient. I need you to correct that. And then let's move forward.
Absolutely. I mean, we this is a family business here for us, and trust me, it's my two brothers, it's my two cousins who are the full-time guys. So trust me when I say if someone's slacking, those conversations are awkward sometimes. They're hard, but if you do have a virtual assistant, it's just very business. It's either get it done, fix it, and go from there. But that's a good point I didn't think about.
Do we leave anything out? I feel like we covered a lot.
I think we hit everything on our outline here. We definitely went over a comprehensive overview.
The question is, did you create that outline or did your VA create that outline?
I created that outline, but he could definitely fill it in if I had to do it. The only other thing was we're probably going to have to record a part 2 in the next month or so, just about the importance of, extra income streams during this time. And I think, just quickly what's going on with us. We did a huge Webstore initiative and push.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot.
And you guys, credit to you guys in your gym. You guys may not know this, but you guys have been the guinea pigs for this for the past few years. And we've made a lot of mistakes. We've learned a lot of stuff from doing your orders and found ways to optimize things. So we were able to roll that out to a good chunk of our clients. And we've been able to raise over $50,000 for our clients. And you might be saying, well, $50,000 from t-shirts. It's like, well, that's spread across gyms, obviously, but that's income that a lot of gym owners would not have seen, because you don't have the logistics to get your apparel out the door. You're not standing at the post office in the middle of this ordeal right now, and you just don't have the logistics. So we were able to lend our logistics out to everyone. And again, my goal when I work with all of our clients, and you've seen this, is the only thing I want you to do is cash a profit check and promote a link. If you can do those two things, you can work with us. Other than that, we're going to do everything else for you. So that's been really successful. But, when I first started, it was like, let me just get to 10,000. Let me get to 20,000. I was like, all right, I can get to 50 by the end of the month. So this month was great. But we're going to have to.
So you guys did $50,000 in sales this month?
No, we cut $50,000 back to gym owners.
Holy shit. Okay. Got it.
So we sent $50,000 back to gym owners, and, the average check size was anywhere between, I'd say, $400 to $750 per gym. And I would say that, a lot of people are asking, well, $400 to $700, what am I doing with that? I would say this is to offset some of the holds and cancellations, right? This is pure profit. This isn't like we have to take anything out of that money. This is all pure profit. And I think we're all in survive in advance mode right now. So
yeah, nobody should be complaining about any additional dollars. So that's awesome, dude.
I think we're going to keep the ball rolling with the Webstore stuff. Everyone's been a huge fan of it. But like I said, I think we'll probably have to record another episode here in the next month or two about extra revenue streams, because we got to find a way to bridge the gap for some people who are on hold or cancellation.
So real quick, because I know you and I have talked about this, typically you've been against Webstore. So what's different about this than in the past?
Yeah, so I think with the Webstore stuff, one thing, when you see, so here's the thing, right? When we do these web stores in the past, what we've seen is people go to vendors who say, here's the entire next level catalog. You can put this, CrossFit Rife design on anything in here, go nuts. And people offer way too many options. It's too confusing. With us, we've really narrowed it down to focused offerings, a t-shirt, 1 or 2 women's tank tops, a men's tank top, and that gives people an incentive to buy. We've also turned on a lot of unique features on our website in terms of like instant checkout and telling people to post all the time about this. Because, for example, also with those websites, they just say, link in bio, here's the product. Mm-hmm. And then 30 days later, they close the link. That's not marketing. That's not enticing people to buy. With us, we're giving our clients a marketing template that says post every single day, get some hype behind it, announce it before and after class. That makes a huge difference in terms of sales. And then, like I said, the other thing is just, like I said, just staying on track and having a tight deadline. That 7-day window is important. Keeping things open 3 to 4 weeks, it's too much time. Gym owners don't have enough time and bandwidth throughout the day to promote apparel for 30 days straight. You could do it for 7 days. You can't do it for 30. So we have taken out some of the biggest pitfalls that we've seen with web stores. And, the average website for apparel converts at 1 to 3%. I'm looking at our portal right now. We're up to 15% website conversions right now. So you're getting an insanely high converting website for free. And, there's no extra fees for that stuff. So everything's working really well right now, knock on wood. So
here's one additional piece of that, which I think I told you this. I think I told you this last time we did it. We added one thing to this whole process, which I'm pretty sure doubled our sales last time. So, so we had the web store, we push it out, we send emails, we post it on Facebook, all that stuff. People are lazy. Let's just lead with that. Everybody's lazy. We could not have made it any easier, but I was wrong. We could have made it easier. Here's what you do when you're doing your store. Have a sign-up sheet outside somewhere in the gym. And you're just like, all right, well, they'll sign the sign-up sheet. No. You sign them up on the sign-up sheet. At the end of class, be like, do you want a shirt? Who wants a shirt? Matt, you want a shirt? John, you want a shirt? Bob, you want a shirt? They're like, yeah, I do want a shirt. Boom. Write it on there, and then you just charge their account for it. Like, you will sell double the number of t-shirts simply by just having your coaches do that, and tell your coaches at the end of class, ask everybody if they want a t-shirt. And if they say yes, all that spreadsheet on that clipboard needs to have is name, if you have multiple different types of shirt, which shirt they want, size, male, female, done. That's it. Yeah. And then you can just go through right before you close all of it, and you can run those transactions on your store, however you want to do that. But some people will buy it online. A lot will not, but you'll be able to scoop those people up just by kind of being like, hey, do you want a shirt? And they're like, yeah, I've been meaning to get one. And I just never go to the link. And I'm like, damn, how many times we could have sold you a shirt if we just asked you? So add that into the mix as well, and you will do more sales there. And again, this is other ways to offset holds and cancellations. It's other ways to bump up your equipment fund that you want to execute monthly, all that stuff. So just a lot of different stuff. All right. Let's wrap it up. I think we gave people value of VA, but also a lot of different ways to utilize it and think about it and try to manage this moving forward. So I think this was uber productive.
Yeah, we're going to do a part 2 because we're going to talk about the extra income stream, and then we're going to also talk about face coverings and what we're doing with that. So
are those online? And then we'll turn it off.
Yeah, we're doing. We're going to start rolling out face coverings, and we'll have more information about that online. I'll be posting that. So if you want to learn more about how you can have some quick disposable or reusable face coverings for members, check out our Facebook page, Instagram. We'll be posting about that over the next week or so, and we'll go from there. But I just want to say thank you again for having me on here. It's always a pleasure. I'm happy to do it. Happy to share some knowledge, and hopefully everyone finds this useful here.
Yeah, this was a ton of stuff, dude. So thanks for your time.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Come on, who doesn't have Spotify at this point? And if you were unaware, Spotify now is offering podcasts. That's right. On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite artists, but also podcasts in one place for free. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now, Best Hour of Their Day. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can even download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, something I always do before I hop on a plane. And you can even easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram and other social media platforms. Here's the deal. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app, search for Best Hour of Their Day on Spotify, or browse some other podcasts if you want. You can find them in your library tab. And also make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of Best Hour of Their Day. Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day, and thanks again to our special guest. We appreciate all you guys do for us with Best Hour of Their Day when it comes to sharing our posts on Instagram, when it comes to subscribing to us on YouTube, when it comes to the constant feedback. We are grateful and we appreciate it. We are trying to build a community based on coaching development and becoming the best version of yourself. And it goes without saying that we couldn't do without all of you. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Season 1 of Dropping In is out. We are getting tremendous feedback and we'd love for you to check it out. Leave us a comment on there. Head over to our Instagram. Give us a follow. Like our pictures. Feel free to share anything that resonates with you. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback for us, please don't hesitate. Email us, besthouroftheirday@gmail.com. Thanks again. Until the next episode, we hope you've had the best hour of your day.